Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. So in today's video I want to talk about what healing from OCD and anxiety should look like, because I think we often have a very unrealistic expectation of what that should be. And I would hold myself, accountable to that as well, because I have in the past felt like once I recover from OCD, it just won't bother me anymore. I won't get intrusive thoughts and life would just be normal, and whatever normal is, because it's just not quite that simple. Because when we actually do recover from OCD and anxiety, it's not about getting rid of those intrusive thoughts. It's about how we change our relationship with them. It's a very different thing. I think we can often think that, well, when I don't have OCD and anxiety, like anybody else out there that doesn't suffer from this, I shouldn't have any of these things anymore. And if I'm still getting them, I'm just, I'm not getting better. And you can feel quite frustrated about that as well. I think you can feel quite like you failed, and that's just not the case. Because when we suffer from OCD, we're often in high alert. We're waiting for the next intrusion. We're waiting for the next ritual and trigger that we may experience. And I think when we change our relationship with all of those things, it becomes a different way of responding to it. And that is all the recovery we need to do. That is what healing is. That is what we want to achieve. And I think when we can get that into our heads and realize that we're not aiming to get rid of these thoughts, we're not going to be free of these thoughts forever. They're still going to pop up time to time, but if we can change the way we respond to it and the way we engage with it, that is healing. That is what we're doing. That's our ultimate goal when we're getting better from this. And I really had to take time and really come to a place of understanding that myself. It wasn't something that I feel like I really understood at first. I think I really did have that unrealistic goal of just not having intrusive thoughts. And don't get me wrong, when you actually heal and you do the work, you don't engage with those intrusive thoughts, you don't engage in the rituals and compulsions, you will actually see a reduction in intrusive thoughts and the need to do rituals and all of those uncomfortable, horrible things that come along with it, all those uncomfortable emotions you get, those feelings and sensations throughout the body. You will notice a reduction in those, because that's what happens when we don't engage with it and we change our relationship with it. And that's the byproduct of it. That's us getting better. When you notice a reduction, you will notice those intrusive thoughts popping up and you don't engage with them. You don't carry out a compulsion to neutralize them. You don't respond the same way. And that is what we're aiming for when we get better. And that is what metacognitive therapy, exposure and response prevention, all these detached mindfulness strategies that I talk about in my videos, those are the things that have helped me to get to the place I am today. I can get intrusive thoughts every day. Everybody gets intrusive thoughts, but they don't respond to it the same way that people with obsessive compulsive disorder do. And that is the key thing. It'd be great if we weren't in a place where we get to where we're not functioning anymore. It's a devastating place to be. It's debilitating, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But the only thing that people do differently with it is they don't engage with it. They will get intrusive thoughts, random thoughts that they're not so comfortable, and they think, oh, wow, that was weird, and then they move on because they know it was just a thought. They don't have to engage with it because it's just a random thought. That is their whole process behind it. They barely even notice it come in. That's the thing with people without OCD. But when you suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, we get hooked into it. We wonder why we thought this. We delve into it, we dissect it, we try and work it out. We try and rationalize it and try and come to some kind of certainty or conclusion about it. And that is why they grow so big and it becomes unmanageable. We get to those places where it takes over our life and it controls us. And that is the only difference when you have OCD and you don't have OCD, because everybody gets intrusive thoughts, whether they want to admit it or not. And, I would agree that people with obsessive compulsive disorder probably get more of them, because I think we're just, like I said, we're wired differently. We're very sensitive and we pick up on a lot of things in our environment. And, it's easy to get hooked in when we're not so aware that maybe we're getting hooked in. And I think this is a good point to raise, is just being more aware of when we're going down that path, and when, that intrusive thought pops in, are we answering to it? Are we letting it be there? Because we're not trying to get rid of any of these thoughts. We're not trying to push them out. We're just letting them be there. And that's when that wonderful thing happens, where our brain just suddenly thinks, this really isn't important, because we're not engaging with it. We're not giving it the attention it wants. And that is where the shift happens. That is the magical thing that happens when we do this. When we don't engage, we just let it be there. It will just fade away on its own. And this has really took me a long time to grasp. I've suffered with this for 40 long years, and it's taken up massive portions of my life. But I'm at a place now where I will get intrusions. Most days I'll have something that'll pop into my head where I could follow it. I could go down the path, go down that OCD rabbit hole, and it take control, and I start, trying to figure it out and pull it apart and just overanalyze everything. But what I do now is I just approach it differently. I'm changing my behavior to those things now. I don't engage. I let it be there. It's coexisting with me. I can be aware of it, but I'm not engaging with it. And once we do that, it'll just fade on its own. And then you probably notice that you didn't have any more intrusive thoughts that day. You didn't have any urges to do a ritual, and maybe you didn't feel as anxious because we're not engaging with it, because the anxiety and all those uncomfortable emotions, get bigger the more we engage with it. You will notice, though, when you don't get involved with it, you may see a bit of an increase at first, but that's just it's not forever that, just because we feel a heightened anxiety because we didn't engage in that ritual, that's just us standing up to OCD, and it's going to feel a bit uncomfortable at first, but that will get easier in time, believe me, because I know what that's like when you get that real urge and that pull to carry out that compulsion or ruminate over an intrusive thought. I know how seductive that is. You just want to get involved and you want to challenge it and work it out, but that is just what we don't need to do to heal. We don't want to do that, because that's just us, we're telling our brain that this is important, we need to engage with it. That's teaching our brain the wrong set of behaviors. Whereas if we just let it be there, we don't engage with it, we move on with our day. And it takes some practice, believe me, but I just wanted to be clear that this is not the goal of healing and getting better from OCD. It's a byproduct of it, and that is reduction in intrusive thoughts and the urges to do rituals and all the uncomfortable emotions. Because when we don't engage with it, those things will naturally just fall away in time. Like I said, you won't get as many of those things anymore. But when we engage with it, it just grows bigger and stronger, and it just has so much more of a hold on us. So that is just not where we want to be or where we deserve to be anymore. So just remember this: the ultimate goal of healing and recovering from OCD and anxiety is not getting rid of it. It's not going to go away forever. It's going to pop up at time to time, but the only difference is our relationship change with it. We're not engaging with it the same way. And naturally, all of those uncomfortable, intrusive thoughts, the emotions that come with it, the sensations in the body, all those rituals and urges we get to carry out different things, different compulsions, they will fall away. They will just naturally subside, and you'll find that they lessen over time. And that's just the wonderful thing about this. This is why getting better and healing is worth it, because we can do it. But we just have to remember that we're not aiming to completely be rid of it, because that's just not life. We're going to be triggered by things, as we move through life, and they're going to pop up from time to time as they do for me, on a daily basis. But because I don't respond the same way anymore, they don't take hold with me, and I can be aware of them, that they're there and they're trying to hook me in, but I just don't respond the same way. So just remember that it really is just changing the way we think about this. We're not aiming to be completely rid of all these things, because that in a way is just teaching our brain that we shouldn't be thinking about these things. Any thought is allowed, and that is the wonderful thing. It doesn't say anything about you just because you think a certain thing. And we deserve that. We deserve our life back from OCD, out of its clutches and out of its control over us. So I really hope this video has helped you today to understand that and understand what getting better should actually look like. So thanks for watching today, and I will see you in the next video.